29-year-old game programmer named Yuta boards his usual train to work, even though it's the weekend. Arriving at his company, he stumbles upon a coworker who takes pity on him for being tasked with fixing the bugs in the games their company is about to launch. Later, one of his teammates approaches him about the client's concern about the difficulty of one of their game, War World. Yuta comes up with the idea that players who complete the level without using items will get rare achievements. That way, skilled players will still find it challenging, and beginner players have options. When it's lunchtime, he goes out to eat and finds a lost girl crying in the park. As he is about to call the authorities, the little girl's mother arrives, looking for her. The mother thanks him, and he bids goodbye to the two. That night, Yuta was still working when a colleague of his was about to head home, saying he needed to go home with his wife. He tells Yuta to get a girlfriend, so there's someone who'll take care of him. Yuta quietly thinks that it's an unrealistic proposition when every day's a death march. The next day, he still hadn't gone home and taken a bath in 3 days. He's so worn out, but still has to fix more bugs in their game. Hours later, he finally fixed the bugs and sent the email to their client. After working non-stop, Yuta finally gets his much-deserved nap. However, when he wakes up, he finds himself in a completely different world and wonders if it's all a dream. He tries to call someone, but his phone won't work. Then, he sees his face on his phone and is surprised to see his high school self staring at him. This convinces him that everything has to be a dream, seeing that he is in a combined world of War World and Freedom Fantasy Life, the two games he is working on. He then discovers that he can control the interface with his mind and that his character name is Sato, which is the name he always uses for his test characters. He then learns that he is in the Valley of the Dragons and that an enemy is coming his way. He looks at his item menu and discovers that they are elite lizardmen and his troops, who are all about level 50. Since he is level 1, he can't beat them using hand combat. Just then, the lizardmen start to attack him using their arrows. He is grazed by one of the arrows and confused about whether everything is still a dream. To protect himself, he uses his acquired spell and 3 meteors to defeat the lizardmen. As the blast obliterates the enemy, he receives various acquired items and the title of Conqueror of the Valley of Dragons. Sato is injured after the explosion and sees that the captain of the lizardmen is still alive. The beast gives him a sword to fight with, and he tries hard to evade his attacks. Determined to win, he acquired the parry skill and clashed with the beast, ultimately defeating it. Thinking of a way to end his dream, he searches for a logout or save button in his game menu, but fails to see them. He tries to heal his injuries and immediately acquires the skill to heal himself. Sato then discovers that he is already on level 310 after using the meteors to obliterate the lizardmen, and that his ability points are all maxed out. He then checks his skills and turns on the meteor shower spell when he sees that it's disabled, planning to test it. After searching for a far enough spot, he tests his meteor spell once again and gets caught in its destructive power. He escapes the blast and runs with incredible speed across the valley. Knowing that it is too dangerous, he chooses to disable the meteor spell for now. Feeling thirsty, he checks his storage, sees a lot of loot from the recent fight, and takes out a water bag. He drinks the water and splashes some on himself since he has an unlimited supply. Upon checking, he also discovers that he has a lot of money and different weapons. He then chooses to equip himself with a new wardrobe and camp out for the night. The next morning, he decides to head to the soldiers' stronghold and sprints his way through the valley. As he continues his journey, he acquires different skills and eventually reaches a stronghold. Upon arriving at the place, he observes that they have very weak defenses and soldiers. Just then, he detects a wyvern and looks for it. However, the beast immediately attacks him, sending him to the ground. Fortunately, he isn't hurt since his endurance level is high. He then throws a rock at the monster, which drives it away. However, this caused the wyvern to fly in the direction of the soldiers. He follows it and sees that the troops are trying to defend themselves against the predator. Not understanding their language, Sato searches his game menu and turns on language. Mage soldiers arrive to assist in fighting the beast, and a green-haired girl mage named Xena attacks. However, she gets blown away by the impact of the attack. Sato comes to her rescue and saves her from free-falling, acquiring the title of a lifesaver. Xena thanks the man for saving her from certain danger. Sato then introduces himself when suddenly 2 other female soldiers arrive and warn him for being too close to Xena. Both soldiers are wary of him, so he has no choice but to lie and say that he is a traveling merchant. However, this makes the two even more dubious, as he doesn't look like a merchant. The soldier Iona suggests that he travel with them, as he lost his belongings, and to make sure that he's not lying to them. On their way to Sirius City, he learns that the 3 female soldiers are part of the investigation squad to find out the effects of the meteor. Soon, they arrive in Sirius City, and Sato plans on staying at an inn for a while. Before they part ways, Xena swears to repay him for saving her life. Iona then accompanies him to reissue the merchant papers he lied about losing. The man instructs him to place his hands over Yamato's stone and states his name. He then uses his character name, Sato. It then shows his status information before he leveled up, a member of the human race with level 1 skills. The man then hands him his papers and his city entry visa, which is valid for 10 days. The man reminds him that if he wishes to extend his stay, he has to request it, and if he is discovered with an expired visa, there's a fine of 1 silver that, if he can't pay, will make him a slave. After fixing his papers, he takes a little stroll around the city and gets invited by a girl named Martha to the inn. The girl then announces at the counter that her mother has brought a customer. Sato pays for a room and food. As he's eating, he learns from the owner, Mosa, that years ago, there was a demon lord that a hero defeated. He is thankful that the demon lord was already taken out, but realizes that if the main character is to be revived, so is the villain of the game. The owner also shared that lately, their only problem was the wyverns wreaking havoc around the city, which showed up again after many years. As another customer calls for the innkeeper, Sato starts eating his food. Martha shows up after her cleaning chores and offers to shop with him upon learning that he needs fresh clothes. As they walk around the market, Sato sees demi-human kids. One boy attacks them, driving them away from the town, but Sato intervenes and saves them. The mother of demi-humans appears and fetches them, saying thanks to the boy. Martha is surprised that he's nice to the demi-humans, as they are normally hated. They continue to walk around the market and end up buying different things for the harvest festival. Just then, a wagon full of girls enters the town, and Sato's in-game menu recognizes one of the girls as Arisa, the queen of the Lost Kingdom. Later in the inn, Sato quietly enjoys his dinner, which consists of vegetable soup and wild boar steak. He then quickly devours his food and rests in his room. As he lies down, he contemplates that the events inside the game don't add up to the ones he knew. If he isn't in a dream, he wonders if it could be a reality. Then, if he could beat the game, could he go back to the real world? Bombarded by questions in his mind, he decides to put it on hold for a while and heads out to look over the kingdom. The next day, he wakes up to Martha's knocks on his door, saying that his girlfriend is outside. He is then surprised to see Xena waiting for him, offering to tour him around the city. Xena explains that she has free time, so she can tour Sato around. Appreciating her offer, the boy agrees. She then takes him around and introduces him to the different delicacies of the city. Just then, a kid bumps into Xena and dirties her clothes. A girl immediately comes to her aid and offers to help remove the stain. She brings them to a back alley to chant a spell that washes and dries her top in an instant. As they continue to walk around, Sato asks Xena how she chants her spells. She chants the spell, and Sato points out that it's complex. The girl shares that it took her 3 years to study wind magic, and that she would like to learn how to fly someday. She then asks if there is any place he would like to visit. Wanting to feel the breeze, he requests to see the city from the military building. She brings him there, and they look over the whole of Sirius City. Sato notices a windmill that can be converted into a weapon during wyvern attacks. As he wants to see it up close, they head over there but stop at the temple first. She shows him the portrait of the hero and demon lord's ultimate battle, and points out the hero's glowing blue holy sword. It is said that the sword will only shimmer blue if the hero wields it. Just then, the priestess of the temple named Ona appears to greet them. As Xena talks to a carriage driver, Sato checks the different titles he acquired and learns that, due to the meteor blast, he gained God Killer and Dragon Defeater titles. He decides to take it easy, so he won't cause a commotion. The carriage then tours them around more military bases. Xena points out an anti-dragon infrastructure that can attack a flying beast. She elaborates that about 40 years ago, a greater dragon attacked the city. However, the hero didn't come to take it down, as it said that heroes are summoned using a great magical ceremony in the Saga Empire called hero summoning. As they continue to tour around, they see the 3 demi-humans being condemned by the people. Zai Kun's head priest offers divine rocks for a price to stone them, as retribution for the recent meteor fall. the people start purchasing the divine rocks and stoning the 3 demi-humans. Upon seeing this, Xena gets off the carriage and intervenes. Sato then uses his skill to find more enemies among the crowd who are acting as agitators for the people. While Xena chants her wind magic to protect the demi-humans, the boy takes down the agitators quietly. Just then, a priest from the Garleon temple steps in and stops Zai-kun's priest from instigating hate against the demi-humans, saying they aren't evils. Sato then reveals that the demi-human master lent his slaves to the Zai-kun priest to earn money by lying about the holy stones. Just then, the master transforms into a demon and kills the Zai-kun priest. The people then flee to safety, and Sato tries to evacuate the demi-humans. However, they reveal that they can't leave as they can't go against their master, or else their collar will be tightened. He then sees from his game pop-up that the 3 have no master since he died from transforming. He frees them, just as the demon unleashes its power. Xena arrives with the backup, but the monster abducts him with the slaves. Later, he wakes up in the monster's lair without the eyeball monster around. He then learns that he has to escape with the 3 slaves, namely the lizard, cat, and dog. Uncomfortable with their names, Sato gives them new names, Liza, Pochi, and Tama, as the one who has freed them. He then gives them fresh sets of clothes and medicine, which they politely decline. The boy insists that they use it and tells them that it's an order. They heed his words and call him their new master, immediately devouring the food he offers. He then uses his skill to look at the map and determines that it is not an easy feat to escape the dungeon. He then learns that Xena is inside the labyrinth looking for them, and that the eyeball monster isn't seen on the map. He then decides to explore the dungeon with the demi-humans, and gives Liza a small sword she can use for protection. He then tells them not to fight unless he says so. As they start to walk, he instructs the cat, Tama, to say something if she spots something weird along the way. He also tells the dog demi-human, Pochi, to tell him if she smells or hears something, and Liza to be alert at their rear. Pochi tells him that she smells blood along the way. As he approaches the scene, he sees a massive monster preying on a human. Liza advises that they should attack from behind while it is eating. Sato follows her advice and attacks from behind, firing at the monster and eliminating it. Liza then collects the core of the monster, which they can sell later on. Sato then frees them from their collars and instructs Liza to teach the younger ones to collect cores as well. The trio then continues their journey to escape from the labyrinth. Along the way, the group encounters a labyrinth caterpillar, which they manage to defeat altogether. Once it's safe, Sato then instructs the young ones to get the core. They encounter another caterpillar, and Sato enlists Pochi's help to distract the monster as he fires at it from the sidelines. With one final kick, he successfully defeats the caterpillar and saves the little demi-human, telling her not to panic in times of danger. Going deep into the labyrinth, they beat more monsters, and as they do, the 3 demi-humans level up. After collecting more cores, Sato decides they should rest for a while, as they need to replenish their stamina. The 3 eat meat jerky and then sleep. Later, they continue to explore and discover different parts of the labyrinth. As it's time for another meal, Liza prepares giant toad skewers, which Sato is initially hesitant to eat. He bites into it and is impressed that it tastes like chicken. He then notices that the 3 girls are only staring at him, realizing that they need permission for them to start eating. He gently tells them to eat, reminding them that they all need to survive the labyrinth. After bathing, the 3 go to sleep, and Sato wonders what to do with them once they're out of the maze. Later, they encounter a slime monster, which Sato tries to beat with fire magic to no avail. Liza steps in and respectfully tells him that he needs to aim for its core to defeat it. While getting the slime's core, Tama points out that the wall before them is weird. Sato uses the map and sees that it is a trapdoor. As he warns them to stand back, an undead level 40 beast shows itself and leaps toward him. As the monster tackles him, he swiftly shoves it into the trap, sending it into a deep hole of darkness. As they continue, they stumble upon a spider monster's lair, and Sato sees that there are people trapped inside the spider cocoons. The group then frees them, and the first one to be released is Jin, who introduces himself as coming from an affluent family and immediately offers them rewards. The next one is the slave trader, Nidoran. The last victim turns out to be the man from the market named Somaru, who despises demi-humans. As he's being hateful towards the demi-humans, Sato refuses to let him out of the web. As he keeps shouting, Jin threatens to burn him to cinders using his power. The two demi-humans hear fighting ensuing nearby, and they head there. They then see the Seiryu soldiers struggling against a horde of slime monsters. Sato then orders the Tama and Pochi to distract the slime, while Liza aims for their cores and destroys them. Once they kill the beasts, they should run back. Wanting to prove himself, Somaru attacks a slime, but his sword isn't able to impale it. As he is about to be taken out, the demi-humans save him and defeat the slime. Meanwhile, Sato rushes to Xena's side and helps her escape the slime attack. After slaying the monsters, Xena hugs Sato out of relief that he is safe. While they're reuniting, Ona emerges to help the others and purify. Xena is reunited with the three demi-humans as well, who all express their gratitude for protecting them against stoning. Just then, the soldiers found a treasure box, but from inside appeared the one-eyed demon from earlier. As Jin uses his fire magic blast pole, the soldiers buy him time to complete his magic spell. The one-eyed demon then used evil eye magic and afflicted people with confusion. Fortunately, Sato acquires evil eye resistance and notices that the soldiers and others are under a spell. To prevent them from being hurt, Sato hits them behind the head, making them unconscious. Finally, Jin's spell is complete, and he blazed the monster with his blast pole technique. The demon is engulfed in fire but seems resistant to it. Out of nowhere, an undead beast attacks Sato, and he falls down the pit. After landing safely, he unsheathes his sword and slices the monster in two. Wanting to help others, he gets accessories from his inventory to disguise himself so people won't recognize him. He throws a rock at the demon, which immediately injures it. The one-eyed beast demands his identity, as it is confused with his strength, but instead of answering, he throws more rocks at the demon, ultimately defeating it. After its defeat, the one-eyed demon summoned his master, the Demon Lord. To reward the lackey who summoned him, he devours the one-eyed demon, and then unleashes his power, sending everyone flying away. The Demon Lord assumes Sato as a hero, so he strengthens himself in preparation to face the boy. Then the Demon Lord attacks, but it doesn't damage him at all. Sato discovers that he can't activate the Holy Sword yet, since he has no title of hero. He then uses another weapon and casts a fire shot spell at the Demon Lord. However, this is not enough to beat the enemy, so he uses a combination of the God Killer title and a divine sword to ultimately defeat the Demon Lord. After the Demon Lord's defeat, everyone finally gets back to the surface. Somaru approaches Sato with the three demi-humans, both expressing gratitude and apologizing for his rude behavior. Meanwhile, Xena hugs Sato, relieved that he's safe. He then discovers that he finally gets the title, Hero. He makes Liza, Tama, and Pochi his official slaves with the help of Nidoran. The man also offers several other slaves that are not sold. Although Sato initially isn't interested, he meets the girls named Lulu and Arisa. The slave girl Arisa calls Sato with the honorific Sama, so the man wonders if she came from Japan. To see if he's right, he whispers to her that there's a spider in her hair. She goes hysterical, and since Japanese women tend to be afraid of spiders, Sato is assured of his theory. The cheerful Arisa and the shy Lulu formally introduce themselves as teenagers who used to be from the lost kingdom of Kuvork. They are quick to be friendly with Pochi, Tama, and Liza, easing Sato since they have no prejudice toward demi-humans. As they walk through the area of shops, Sato suggests that they all eat. All the girls have only been treated with the bare minimum of food by their previous masters, so as they go to a restaurant for delicious food, they are all very excited. Later he goes shopping on his own, and while doing so, he sees starving beast-folk children by the dirty alley. Seeing that he has extra food on him, he gives it to them. As the master returns, all the girls are glad to wear the new robes he bought for them. Back at the inn, Sato introduces the girls to the innkeepers, and he is unfortunate to hear that the inn cannot provide more rooms for them. He looks around and sees that the people are looking angrily at the demi-humans. Arisa addresses the people and tells them politely not to stare daggers at them, while also telling them about how the demi-human children also rescued humans in the dungeon. Like magic, all the people mind their own business. Later, Sato and the demi-humans are at the stable. He made a bed for the girls so they could be more comfortable sleeping. He then returns to his room, where he finds Arisa and Lulu are waiting for him. He tells them they are not that kind of slaves, which disappoints Arisa, but makes Lulu cry out of relief. He comforts the girl and tells her she will be all right. Later, as they sleep, Sato wakes up to find Arisa on top of him. The man tries to stop his body from reaching out for the girl, but finds himself unable to stop. He realizes something is up, and as he hugs her, he whispers in her ear that she is now forbidden to use any magic or skills. Being found out, she backs off from the hug. The man then demands that she release any magic she has activated so far. Instantly, he can move freely, which gives him relief. He asks what she is trying to accomplish. The girl admits that she wanted to serve him because she had fallen for him. She rants about how she has found her dream man, yet he won't touch her. He reads the girl's skills in psychic magic and notices how different her skills are from the others. The girl smiles and tells him that it's because she came from Japan, as he theorized. She says she reincarnated in the Kuvok kingdom as a new person, but she has still retained her memory from her past life. She also reveals that Sato is the second Japanese person she's met so far, and that Lulu's great-grandfather was the other one. She then asks if the man has been reincarnated or transferred, but he doesn't know what she's talking about. She says the difference is that reincarnated people died from their old lives and were reborn in this world, while being transferred means they have been magically summoned with their original bodies. Since being transferred means retaining their original clothes and bodies, he doesn't think he came to this world with either method. The man then becomes personal with the girl and asks her about how she became a slave. Her face turns sad, and she tells him about her experience. The next morning, Martha visits their room, and Sato greets them. They are surprised to see that Arisa sleeping beside him. Xena shouts at his perversion and leaves in a huff. The just-awake Arisa tells him that it will get more complicated if he doesn't explain himself to the girl. Sato dresses up quickly and jumps from his window to go after Xena. He grabs her hand and tells her she has the wrong idea, and the woman believes her. To further smooth things over, he compliments her dress and tells her she looks pretty, making the woman blush. He invites her to go shopping with him, and she becomes excited about it. Arisa catches up with them and says she is glad the misunderstanding was resolved. As she goes back to the inn to call the other girls, Sato remembers their talk last night. Arisa told him that she was reborn as a princess and that she used her knowledge from her old life to make her country prosperous, but failed. A neighboring country took over, executing the king and prince. As she tells the man that she and other survivors were forced into slavery, she cries. One day, a demon lord destroyed the castle. It was then that she and Lulu made a run to the mountains, where the slave trader Nidoran found them. In the present, Sato gives his girls money to buy clothes and daily necessities, while giving Arisa the responsibility of taking care of the budget. As they leave in liveliness for shopping, Xena comments on how comfortable they are with Sato. He is glad to see that the girls are happy. Sato tells Xena that he wants to look for housing for demi-humans so they don't have to sleep at the stables forever. Like clockwork, Xena volunteers to go with him. She brings them to numerous houses, but none are suitable. The lady tells them she will go to the office to find more houses for sale. Nadi recommends that the two spend their time at the flea market by the plaza in the meantime. She whispers to the blushing Xena to take Sato to the play for their date. As the two walk, the slave girls return, happy with the new clothes they shopped. She notices that Arisa dyed her hair blonde, and she tells him that it's because the world thinks people with purple hair are bad luck. They go to the flea market, where they all enjoy shopping. Sato sees the earrings by the jewelry stall and tells the blushing Xena that they look good on her. As all the girls drag Xena along so they can go to the play, Sato buys the earrings for her in secret. They all watch the play, which is a love story between a man named Zen and a princess. After the play, the girls leave for something to eat. Sato and Xena are left alone together. They happen to come across Xena's night guard friends. They just returned from a battle with fang ants. As they are discussing the details of their battle, the slave girl returns, exactly as she just killed a giant flying ant that was flying from above. Sato analyzes the ant corpse and realizes that there is a swarm of flying ants coming their way, and they brace for the attack. As the ants cross the town walls, shielded with a magic barrier, many of them die. However, many still enter, and the town soldiers, along with Sato and his girls, work together to eliminate many of them. Sato sees on his map that the last one is at Nadi's building, and he eliminates him. He finds that the hiding Nadi is okay, but needs to be lifted from her basement hideout. As Sato tries to think of ways to get her out of it, magic vines suddenly appear to carry the woman up to the surface. It turns out to be the magic of the elf building manager, Yusara. Nadi thanks both our hero and her manager for the rescue. The man goes back outside, and Xena reports to him that she should return with the other knights to see if there are any other problems, unfortunately ending their time together. Meanwhile, a knight is by Liza's side. and he tells Sato that he is obligated to give the government core he got from fighting the flying ants. Our hero sees through his coercion, so he gets the receipt for it and asks the knight to place his position and identification on it to make sure the transaction is valid. While the scheming knight is frustrated, he has no choice but to follow. Later on, Sato walks alone at night in the streets. A black owl feather falls on him, making him wonder. He senses an invisible force approaching him, and so he activates his night vision ability to see the shadow men approach him. He materializes his gun, and after an effort, manages to defeat them all. He found the two people being attacked by the shadow men lying on the ground. He finds that one of them is a beaten-down beast folk were-rat with a red helmet. The were-rat pleads for our hero to take care of the other one lying on the ground, and then falls unconscious himself. He takes them to Usara's building since the beast folk told him he knows the elf. Usara recognizes the best folk as the famous mask. Sato then shows them the other survivor, an elf little girl named Mia. Mia wakes up and looks at Sato for the first time. She comments on how pretty he looks, and then falls back to sleep. The next morning, Sato heads back to Usara's building, and Nadi informs him that the two survivors are okay, and that Mia is suffering from overexhaustion. As Mia wakes up, she gets to chat with the hero about spirits and elvish language. As the man is about to leave, the little girl wants him to stay. Sato tells his girls about Mia and the were-rat during lunch, and they get excited about the thought of meeting the elf princess. Upon meeting Mia, they get close to her right away. Sato tells the girls to look after Mia while he goes down the stairs. The elf princess wants him to stay, making our hero wonder why she got attached to him so quickly. Downstairs, he gets to talk to Nadi about his merchant occupation. She recommends that he buy the drawn cart of the manager's retiring merchant friend. He appreciates the offer but says he has no experience driving one. Lulu says she has experience driving a cart, making Sato change his mind. On another day, the Sato are going camping in the forest. They set up their tent, put up sheets on the ground, made all the setup for cooking, and started their cooking. Pochi and Tama call on Sato, being scared by the whistling of the heating kettle. He explains to them that the water inside is turning into vapor because of the heat, but as kids don't understand, Arisa interferes, simplifying the explanation by telling the two that when water gets hot, it turns into white smoke, heavy enough to lift up the lid. She grabs a twig and blows on it to make them understand how whistling is a similar phenomenon. The two girls are so amazed, they think Arisa is a genius. As the little children continue playing around, the beast folk children Sato feed in the streets before approaching him. They give him mixed fruit seeds to return the favor. While he wants to accept their gift, he feels guilty about taking it, since he thinks they need it more than him. He gives them a pile of meat and tells them that they can have it because his family can't eat all of it. The beast folks leave, happy that they have something to eat. Later on, Sato receives the drawn cart from Nadi. Arisa suggests they take the cart to take Mia home. Nadi tells them that the elf village is in the southeast of the Shiga kingdom. Our hero thinks about the prospect of the journey, but in the meantime, he wants to learn how to drive the cart with Lulu as his teacher. They take a trip with the cart together, but the girl is too shy to talk to him properly. He brings up Arisa to make the girl talk openly, and it works as Lulu praises her close sister non-stop. Through the girl's teachings, Sato becomes good enough to drive the cart. Lulu becomes so comfortable with him that she rests on his shoulder as she gets tired. The man suddenly senses danger and becomes alert as another cart crosses their path. He then sees a black owl staring at him from above, and then it flies off to the other cart. Lulu asks him what's the matter, so he tells her he just got distracted. They go back to the manager's place, and the master is greeted by his family. Even Mia is outside with them, already feeling better after Usara healed her with magic potions. They agree to celebrate her recovery by having dinner. He tells Liza and Lulu to buy the honey buns the elf girl likes to try out. He then gets a bad feeling as he sees the owl again on one of the roofs. As they go back to Usara's place, Mize, the red mask, is already healthy enough to talk. He tells our hero that Mia was kidnapped by wizards from her elf village and was imprisoned in a place called the Cradle. After escaping, she happened to run into Red Mask and his were-rat friends, who saved her. They were hoping to head to Siryu City to meet up with Usara, and it was then that the wizard sent the flying ants to the town. Mize has no idea why Mia was kidnapped, although Sato notices Usara's face and thinks he might know something about it. They suddenly hear screams from downstairs. Sato and Usara head down quickly to check on the girls, and while they are in fear, it turns out everyone is just scared of thunder. Again, Sato sees the owl, this time inside the building where they are. It transforms into a shadowy, hooded man. Mize charges at the hooded figure, but the villain activates psychic magic that paralyzes the group in fear. Arisa uses her own psychic magic to limitedly shield them from its effects. Sato then activates a resistance skill, making him immune to the attack. A display shows that the figure's name is Zen. He remembers that it is the same name as the protagonist from the play they watched in the flea market area before. The villain speaks of his intent to take Mia, so Sato gets in between them and introduces himself. The villain is impressed by the young man's immunity to his psychic magic, despite being only a merchant. He tells him that if he interferes, then he will show him no mercy. However, Sato doesn't back down and tells the man he will not stop protecting the girl. He charges at the villain, but his attack passes right through him like he's a ghost. The villain then uses his shadow-like tentacles and lifts our hero. Arisa then attacks the villain with an energy blast, momentarily revealing the monster's face as a skeleton, confirming that the enemy is a wraith. It attacks Arisa, only for Manger Yusara to protect her. Seeing his friends in trouble, Sato overpowers the tentacles and breaks them. This confuses the villainous wraith, who thinks it is impossible for anyone to interact with his shadow ability aside from magic items. Mia says that they should run. However, Arisa tells her she will not stop protecting her because it's her master's wish. Sato realizes that Arisa is about to unleash some powerful magic and stalls the villain by talking to him about his identity as the undead king. Arise then tells her master to get out of the way, unleashing a powerful energy blast towards the wraith. While the attack tires her up, the undead king still stands. Sato shoots the villain, but he receives no damage. The villain then activates his tentacles again, capturing Mia and pulling her inside a shadow portal. Before the portal closes, Sato enters it. It sends him into a void of darkness. Using his will, he breaks out of the dimension, sending him to a throne room where Mia is being held. The undead king is there, confused at how the man got out of his shadow prison. The wraith tells him that only those who have gone through the trial of the cradle can enter the throne room and have the right to battle him. Sato doesn't care about the rules and hurries to get to Mia. However, the undead king snaps his fingers, teleporting our hero elsewhere. He finds himself outside, in front of a giant tree. He realizes it is the cradle the villain was talking about and figures out that Mia is somewhere inside. He crosses the bridge to the tree, gunning down giant wasps flying above on the way. He reaches the tree's giant doors. He enters the door and defeats the first monsters on his way up. He reaches the leafy territory of the Dryad. He finds that the Dryad is a human plant little girl who has just awakened from her slumber. She doesn't want to fight but wants to be fed with MP instead. She kisses the man, energizing her. She opens up a corridor leading to a secret room of Traza as a thank you. He finds an abandoned laboratory. He reads Traza's diary, explaining that since elves have a weak will to survive, he made the cradle to instill elves with the will to survive by letting them face danger. He sealed the place away before he died, hoping for when the elves needed it again. He realizes that Traza is in the same lineage as Yusara and Mia, and that it might be the reason why the place needs Mia. He asks the Dryad for a way upward. She teleports him to floor 100, where the Guardian Knight's chamber is. There he finds 3 ladies who all identically look like adult versions of Mia, as well as a giant golem guardian. The ladies ask him to wait, as they gear up for battle. Seeing the game display cards, he realizes that they are artificial humans known as homunculus. The ladies tell him that he will only earn the right to venture forward if he defeats the Guardian. The Guardian wakes up and approaches Sato. On its head reads the word Emeth. He realizes that the first letter is the monster's weak spot and shoots at it with his gun. Instantly, the monster falls. The homunculi, with the name Number 7, volunteer to fight the intruder. As the others escape, Number 7 attacks Sato with her sword, only for the man to dodge and take her down. Our hero continues upwards through the spiral stairs and finds a garden room identical to the Dryad's earlier. He sees another Dryad lifeless on the floor, and he revives it with water. The Dryad gets up and requests MP from the man. As she gets fully energized, she explains that while she may look the same as the other Dryad, she is not the same one. The little girl transfers him to the 180th floor. He finds that the floor is a corridor filled with dead branches. Mantis's monsters appear, and he successfully slays all of them. It is not long until he finally reaches the throne room, where Mia and the undead king are. The villain tells him that if he defeats his next opponents, he will also be rewarded with the Holy Sword. He summons 7 of the homunculi women and puts buff magic on them. And confusingly, on Sato too. Sato battles with the homunculi sisters and the golem guardians. No matter how hard they try, they are no match for him. It doesn't take long until they fall. The undead king congratulates our hero and gives him the holy sword as promised. Sato asks the villain what his goal is. The wraith answers that all he wants is someone strong enough to end his immortal life. He explains that he met his end in the past through unjust brutality. He was reincarnated in this world and fell in love with someone he still believes was too good for him, and he was happy. It was then that he was imprisoned by a noble who fell in love with his companion and was executed for false pretenses. As her lover ended her life for it, he took his revenge on the noble as an undead. Once done, he then sought his end to rejoin his wife, but his undead body would not let him. Now he asks Sato to bring him death using the holy sword. He complies by using the sword's energy to vanquish him. The only thing left is a ring that our hero picks up. Laughing evil spirits in the form of smoke appear and mock the undead king, only for Sato to wisp them away with the holy sword. Suddenly, the giant crystal attached to the ceiling glows, and a computer voice announces the cradle's self-destruction. Sato hurries and uses a potion to wake Mia up. Seeing as he cannot stop the countdown, he brings Mia to the unconscious homunculi sisters and uses magic to warp them away from the place. The place starts to rumble and crackle, so he hurries down to carry the sleeping number 7 and then goes to the dryad. He asks the little girl to teleport them outside, but she says she needs seeds and magic to do so. He remembers the fruit seeds the beast folk children gave him, and he gives them to the girl. That, along with more MP, is sufficient for her to teleport them outside the tree. A giant wave of salt, so big that it covers the view of the giant tree, comes their way. As long as the forest is alive, so will the dryad, so she doesn't run away. Sato runs as fast as he can with number 7 on his shoulders. He runs towards the sea and remembers how Tama and Pochi were scared because a heating kettle was whistling. Reaching the waters, he summons fire magic and hits the water near the wave of salt. The area of water explodes from evaporation, creating a wall against the salt. The man runs so fast that it is not long until he is on the cliff. He looks at the sea from a distance and sees how the salt has hardened. He goes down the mountain with number 7 on his back, and he is met by his girls. They are all tearing up because he is safe. He looks at the crying Arisa, and he worries about how she might end up with the same fate as the undead king, someone who also reincarnated in the fantasy world like her. Mia formally thanks the man as the youngest elf princess in the Bolinan forest. The homunculi sisters also thank him for sparing their lives despite being his enemies. He hands the ring of the undead king to them, and they kneel before him in recognition that he is their new master. Before they get to be in his service, they want to first journey to the grave of their master Zen's wife to return his wedding ring to her. However, they also want one of them to remain by his side. No, 7 wins the game of rock, paper, and scissors, so she is the one to stay with their new master. The man gives her the name Nana under his wing. The moment Xena hears of Sato's return to Seiryu City, she runs to him and cries because he is safe. As the two get to talking, Sato apologizes for worrying her and gives her the earrings she had about her before. This makes the girl very happy, but it doesn't last as she gets sad at hearing that the man is about to leave to transport Mia back to her elf village in the southeast of Shiga Kingdom. He promises to return to the city and tell her many stories of his journey. Despite this, the woman still feels sad. As the Sato family prepares to leave, they say goodbye to Martha, Yusara, and their other friends in the city. As they ride their cart, Sato thinks about Xena and gets sad. Suddenly he hears her shout for him from a distance. He looks back and sees her hurrying to the cart while riding her horse. She tells him that she can't go with him right now and will not ask him to take her with him. However, once her brother is an adult this spring, he will be the head of the family, and she will be free to go to him by then. The Sato family waves her goodbye as their cart leaves her. Xena waves back, and while she's smiling, tears flow down her eyes. The girls see how sad their master looks, so they assure him that he has them with him. The family enjoys their picnic together in their stopover from traveling. As they are ready to move on with the journey, Arisa suggests that they make the straw cushions more comfortable. She shows the family how to sew the straws to make pillows, and it's not long until there are many pillows. Sato makes a stuffed duck, and Nana likes it so much that she asks that she keep it. He then makes a stuffed toy for all the little ones, making them happy. He sees that the more mature girls are jealous, and so he knows he will end up making them stuffed toys too. They travel far and wide, enjoying the sights as they go. They stop to let the horses rest up. Sato sees the ruins of a rocky building, and he lets Tama, Pochi, and Arisa investigate it. As they run to the rock structure, he hears Mia playing music with a leaf like a flute by a tree. It is not long until Nana, Liza, and Lulu also join in, trying to learn the craft. Sato tries it himself but keeps making bad music out of it, much to the eerie of the girls. He cheats by raising his musical skills, allowing him to play better. Arisa returns from the investigation and tells Sato to come with her. She leads him to the top of the stone building structure, where he sees that they are on one of the 3 giant stone torii that fell over in a row. Sato feels like he has seen the raws of stone torii before, but he doesn't know when. He then has a vague vision of the girl with whom he made a promise to be together forever in his former life as a young boy. They made that promise while at the shrine near his grandfather's place. For their promise to be fulfilled, the girl performed the Kaguya dance, according to the legendary tale of the goddess who fell in love with a human, complete with shrine robes. Arisa sees that her master has dozed off and interrupts. He checks his video game menu to see if the vision is a psychological attack, but there are no signs of it. He realized he made Tori in a video game he designed a long time ago, but he doesn't remember having the conversation in real life. He looks more closely at the view, and he realizes that the stone Tori looks like a broken travel gate like that in video games. He pays it no mind any longer, and gets ready to depart the place. Pochi returns happily with a captured small prey animal from a hunt. She gives it to Liza so she can butcher it. Tama also returns with prey meat. Sato sees that it is some kind of baby monster, so as Tama gives it to Arisa, he advises the girls to be careful. The baby monster suddenly wakes up and escapes from Arisa's hands, saddening the little demi-human. Seeing that the kids are hungry from catching prey, Arisa pulls out a picnic basket from the magic item box storage and lets them eat. They continue traveling in the wagon, enjoying each other's company. Sato checks his storage, and he finds out it now has a shadow spell book, along with Zen's mementos. He wonders if he can learn more about magic through it. As the girls talk among themselves, the man goes busy reviewing the book that can only be seen through his eyes. He gets so busy looking into it that he doesn't realize he is already feeling up Nana's chest. Arisa is concerned since the man had his eyes open, but he wasn't reacting. He apologizes, telling Arisu that he was researching new spells. He asks for Mia to try out a spell once he figures it out, and the girl agrees. As he looks at Mia, his menu pops up, signaling to him that Mia's friend Mize is nearby. He remembers that the were-rat told him he would journey to search for his friends. He tells Lizu to stop the carriage. It turns out the carriage of Mia's many were-rat friends is near, and she gets to have a reunion with them. One of the rats thanks Sato for taking care of Mia, but says that they will need to go on a journey first before returning to her. Later on, they spot a herd of deer, and Tama suddenly pounces at one of them for the kill. As the children get excited at the thought of eating it for dinner, Sato asks Mia to perform the spell he gave her. She activates the spell, cleaning Pochi and Tama with an instantaneous bubble bath. Later that night, as all the girls sleep, Sato experiments with his video game storage. He finds that as long as an object is within 3 meters, he can make it disappear into his storage. He buries a rock and makes both it and the soil on top of it disappear. He looks in the storage and finds that the soil and the rock are separate objects in the menu. He tries it on the salt water in his mug, but the salt and water are not separated. He turns his attention to the insect corpse he stored while in the cradle and chooses it from the menu to see if he can dissect it. As the insect corpse gets summoned, it is still whole. He checks his status and finds that he did not lose any MP while doing all of his experiments, which makes it different from the item box magic Arisa has that does need MP to be used. As he explores the same item box in his menu, he concludes that it's inferior to his storage. He makes another experiment by burning 2 pieces of paper. While the papers are still on fire, he stores one in his storage menu and the other in the item box. He gets the paper from the item box out and finds that it's no longer burning. He pulls the paper from the storage menu out and finds that it's still burning like time didn't fly. He looks at the cooking pot as if he has an idea. By morning, the food stew he reheated last night is still warm after taking it out of the video game storage. Continuing their travel, they have reached the were-rats, who are in front of the tree where the tomb of the other ratman who died protecting Mia is. Mia gets in front of the tomb, and she tells the tree to let the ratman that perished rest in peace. Sparkling light comes out of the tomb, like souls scattering through the wind. As the group travels by wagon, they see a man on a horse pushing around 2 peasants to clear the path, injuring one of them in the process. As they pass across the arrogant man, he glares at Sato. Liza reminds his master that he is the same knight who tried to coerce core from them back in Seiryu City. They stop over so that Sato can give the two victims of the night a recovery potion. Our hero thinks about how he can make more potions with alchemy. At their next rest stop, Sato gets out his alchemy kit to practice. He experiments on beakers and elixirs, and he gets to learn more and more about the art of alchemy. By night, even though most of the girls are already sleeping, the man is still doing alchemy. He crafts a magic item using a wooden board and carving a circle on it. He hands it to Arisa to try it out. As the girl concentrates her MP on it, the circle ring lights up. Nothing happens aside from that, so Sato tells her that the light is all it does. He tries the device for himself, but his magic is so powerful that the board explodes. All the girls wake up, thinking there is danger, so he apologizes for waking them up. The next morning they continued traveling. They reach a city, and Sato goes to the local alchemy shop, where Sato talks to Lenmaris, the shopkeeper, about some elixirs to buy. He asks if she also has stabilizers and scrolls. The woman tells him that she can trade him scrolls for some cores that are grade 3 or above. Sato refuses, knowing it's illegal to trade core. He asks for some vials instead, but she tells him someone with a requisition warrant with the seal of the viceroy bought her entire stock before he got to the store. She advises him to go to the pottery shop to get the vials directly. By night, he then returns to the alchemy shop in a hood and mask, also he can trade cores for magic scrolls. He activates all the scrolls on him, so he can buff himself and explore the forest to reveal the blank spaces in his video game map. While he walks through the forest, he crosses an invisible barrier. He checks his map and sees that he is in the area called the Forest of Illisons, and that enemies are coming his way. Without warning, a little boy and an army of robot knights attack him. He manages to defeat all the knights, as well as block the boy's magic. The boy panics and screams for his mistress for help. Suddenly, a giant bird lands on the boy. On top of the bird is the witch of the forest, who greets our hero peacefully. As he leads him to her house, the witch apologizes for how his apprentice treated him. Sato realizes that the witch thinks he is an emissary of Bolenin because he spotted the Bolenin chime bell on him. Een, the apprentice boy, apologizes personally, and our hero forgives him. The boy goes to make a potion in a big pot, and he tells his mistress that they'll manage to honor their pact with Count Kuhanu to deliver 300 vials of potion twice a year in exchange for him to keep outsiders out of the Forest of Illusions. For the rest of the night, the witch teaches our hero her knowledge of potions. As Sato is about to leave, the witch uses magic, literally lighting the path so he can easily return. As he returns to the normal part of the forest, he looks at the letter the witch asked him to deliver to a giant. Later on, Sato is in a tavern when he spots two men in hoods talking about breaking a pact. His attention goes elsewhere, as the person he needs to meet up with for potion vials appears. The man tells him he can't make the vials directly because of the city's strict regulations. However, he offers to teach him pottery, which is just code for him to teach him how to make vials on his own. Sato's attention returns to the hooded men, one of them telling the other that he will help him gain the title of viceroy. Our hero doesn't hear more, as his girls appear to pick him up. The next morning, while Sato and his family are walking peacefully, he opens his map to see that Ine is in the middle of a carriage chase with bad people. Sato and his family ran to him. The boy tells him that, on his carriage, are the 300 potions for the pact. Sato lets him pass, telling him that he will take care of the men chasing him. However, some carts collide with the boy's carriage, breaking it along with the potions. As Sato spots the runners responsible, he tells the others to go after them. Arisa reports that there are only 120 vials left intact. Sato sees that some of the broken vials still have the potion stored in them. He puts the potion in storage, saving 40 potions. They go to Assistant Viceroy Birkins' office, and the man tells them that despite the setback, they still need to deliver all 300 potions by sundown. Sato recognizes his voice and sees that he has Dosan, the core coercing knight, with him in the room. The Assistant Viceroy adds that he cannot accept replacements that are not made by the witch, leading our hero to wonder if he wants the delivery to fail. He finally realizes that the two are the hooded men he saw in the tavern. He deduces that the plan is to build a new town over the Forest of Illusions. He shares his knowledge that the condition that the witch is the one supposed to make the potion is not part of the pact, frustrating Birkins. The villain reluctantly agrees to accept potions, as long as they are of the same quality as the witches. Sato wants him to elaborate if he will also accept potions of higher quality, and the villain agrees. However, Sato wants him to get the agreement in writing. The group leaves the office with the written agreement. Despite the girls gathering all the ingredients needed for potion making, Ini thinks they can't succeed because they have no vials to put the potions in. Sato remembers that Linmaris told him that someone bought all the vials in her alchemy shop, making him realize in anger that it was Birkins and Dosan who did it. The group goes to the vial maker's workshop, but the man tells them he can't produce 180 vials by sundown. Sato tells the man that they won't drag him into making the vials, only that they ask that he lend them his place in kiln. The vial asks if our hero is in trouble. As he confirms it, the man agrees to help them. The group instantly starts forming pottery clay into vials, but they are having trouble making the right shape as beginners. However, it is Sato to the rescue, who easily forms many vials on his own. The vial maker gives them the bad news that it takes 5 days for the clay to dry up. Sato reviews his spell book, and he asks Mia to perform a spell, instantly drying a vial. Being encouraged, the group makes more vials, all while Ine and Sato cook up more potions. After a while, they put all the vials of potions in the kiln to cool them down to their final form. With them almost done, Ine feels hope they will succeed. As the group has their attention on the bird on top of Ine, the pop-up tells Sato that it's the witch's familiar. Suddenly, Dosen and his men approach the workshop, accusing the vial maker of making potion vials without their permission, and telling him that he now has to break the kiln because of it. He and his goons leave with the kiln broken along with the vials within. Sato tells the crying Ine to use the bird on top of his head to talk to the witch. Our hero tells Arisa that the vials that Dosan and his men broke are only decoys, and that he put all the real vials in his storage. He enters the kiln and summons one vial, only for it to break because of the sudden temperature change. He then remembers how Arisa's item box works, and he has an idea. As an experiment, he summons the item box portal and sees that it can suck in air like a vacuum. Seeing as the experiment works, he wonders if he can summon a vial of potion in the instant he lets it get sucked into the item box portal. Later on, the group returns to Assistant Viceroy Birkins' office, where Sato asks the villain to sign and seal the delivery papers, since they succeeded in delivering all 300 potions, much to the frustration of Dosan, who can't believe it. Despite this, Birkins instead stalls, waiting for the sundown that grows near. Suddenly, Count Kuhanu appears, with the Witch of the Forest with him. He reprimands Birkins for his evil plans and strips away his title of Assistant Viceroy. Birkins attacks the Count with magic, but it does not affect him. Count Kuhanu raises his sword and declares his intent to execute the former Assistant Viceroy. In an instant, Sato attacks Birkins and Dozan, putting them to sleep. The Count asks why he interfered, only for our hero to tell him that it's because there are children in the room. Sato, the girls, the witch, and Ine all return to the vial maker's workshop. There, our hero asks the maker for forgiveness for the trouble they caused. However, the maker only thanks them since the Count will give him priority for every deal thanks to them, as well as a bigger kiln than before. He laughs at the thought of being rich out of the business. The witch also thanks him for his help, as does Ina, who gives him a magical lantern as a gift. The witch also gives the man the gift of a magical blessing. So, the Sato family is off to travel in their cart again. Later on, Nana wakes her master up and removes her plot armor. Arisa catches them before they develop plot further. She gets in between them to stop the man's action. Nana tells her that their master was just trying to calibrate her system, so she could be activated to do magic. She asks Sato to touch her heart again to do what was interrupted. Mia gets into the conversation, telling Sato to touch her backside instead, leading Arisa to realize that he can touch her heart from the back. As Sato touches Nana's bare back, the women makes noises, leading Arisa to feel annoyed and jealous. As they continue their travel, our hero tells his family that they are going to the Muno Barony next. Meanwhile, in Seiryu City, Xena is running in excitement to tell her friends that Sato sent her a letter. As she reads the letter, she is glad to hear his words that he misses her. Back to Sato's family, they are camping out for lunch. Liza and Pochi approach the group, telling their master they have acquired wild herbs. While they don't know what plant it is, Pochi still asks permission for them to eat it. Sato tries to break one herb leaf apart, and liquid gushes out, falling all over his hands. Tama and Pochi lick the nectar of his hands, much to his and the other girls' surprise. Arisa tries to lick his hand too, but the man sees through her attempt and doesn't let her. Back in Seiryu City, Xena reads the rest of the letter in her bedroom. smiling as she reads about how he and the girls are getting used to the outdoors and are having fun. Back at the family, Pochi asks her master to read them a story from a book while they camp at the fire. He reads the tale about the 7 deities who descended from the heavens along with the world tree. Eventually, the dragon god joins the 7, along with the demon god, who eventually fought the others and created demons to worship him. The humans, who were tormented the most by the demons, beseeched the young goddess to give them power to fight them. The other gods wouldn't hear the goddess out, so she discussed the matter with the dragon god, who was so pleased with the humans' toys and alcohol the goddess brought him that he taught her one magical spell. It was the spell to summon heroes, the magic of hope. Sato then realizes that Tama, Pochi, and Mia are already asleep. Back in town, Xena just finished the last words of the letter, about how our hero plans to continue enjoying their journey and how he hopes to see her again someday. Xena looks out the window, hoping to see Sato one day too. The next morning, as Sato wakes up inside the wagon, he realizes that all are sleeping beside and on top of him. As Lulu wakes up, she apologizes to her master, thinking he doesn't want to see her the moment he wakes up. As the man tells her it's okay since he finds him cute, the girl blushes. Meanwhile, Mia is observing Nana sleeping. She becomes conscious as she compares her chest to hers. As the girls get out of the wagon, Sato looks at them, as well as the beautiful sun above.